In American football, it goes without saying, you have to continually rep, you've got to continually catch, you've got to continually run, you've got to continually learn. It's the same thing in business. Um, when your subordinates have potential like skill gaps, what do? You've got to train and support. I used to play when I was in high school. I used to play soccer. I used to play cricket. I used to run track. I used to do athletics. I used to play rugby, and I started playing rugby. And one day, I like contact sports. Okay, so one day I was playing for the London Borough of Brent, and we was playing against Barnet, and we went into the changing rooms, getting ready to go out to the field. And we walked past the team that we were going to play against, and these guys were giants. Couldn't believe that these guys were under the age of 15. One guy had his nose was all twisted, another guy was putting in like false teeth. This guy was like 15. I was like, I'm too pretty for this. I don't want to get hurt. I don't mind the contact, but not my face. Anyway, I can't even remember the outcome of the game, but I can just remember that. But I was looking for something that I could do in the contact area of sport, and I was going to consider doing boxing, but then I saw American football. It was on Channel 4 one day. I was having my dinner and I saw this thing, and I saw the guys running around with helmets and shoulder pads, just absolutely annihilating each other, and I thought, that's me. I want to do that. And so I didn't know how I could do it in this country, because it was new, right? We're talking about late 80s now, 90s. I'm sure this is way before you were born. So it just so happens my best friend at the time, he actually played American football, but he didn't even tell me about it. And so he got me down to his team, and we started playing. It was junior American football at the time. It's called flag American football. And it basically just snowballed from there. Playing junior American football, and then senior American football, and then semi-professional American football, and then I, played in NFL Europe for 5 seasons. So yeah, that was my sporting career. Right. So when the odds are stacked against you as a player, um, you have to find ways to motivate yourself. You have to find ways to get yourself back on top. You've got to find purpose and identity. You've got to have resilience and mental toughness. And a lot of that is down to athletes or top athletes. There's a lot of repetition in what they do. Lots of repetition, with regards to working out, regards to lifting, the lifting weights, with regards to their diet. There's a lot of repetition in that. Sometimes, you put all that together, and you go out on a field. I'll talk about it as an American football player, because I used to be one of those. And sometimes, you just don't produce. And sometimes you think to yourself, well, what more do I need to do to be successful? Because athletes are really tough on themselves. They look at themselves in the mirror and say that they are the best version of themselves. And as they go out onto the field and play a game, you are dependent on your teammates as well. So there's that factor. But also to try and, when you're in that lull, it's really good to be around teammates. It's really good to be around coaches. They know what you can do. They know why you're there in the first place, and they can help you get you out of the rut that you're in. It could be 2 or 3 games where you haven't scored a goal or you haven't scored a touchdown, and it does get to you as an athlete, as a player. Also, as well, family and those supports. Your support network around you. They are really pivotal in those times, because you really, in my experience, when you have that and they're there just encouraging you, it really mentally helps. It really mentally helps, because it does start mentally. It does start from there mentally. I'd say straight away, it's got to be the playbook scenario. So in American football, you have three playbooks. You have an offensive playbook, defensive playbook, and a special teams playbook. Let's just concentrate on the offensive playbook. Okay. So in a playbook, it's got like about 300 different plays, and it's made up of positions. It's made up of personnel. It's made up of blocking schemes, route running, running plays, all this beautiful stuff. Okay. And what teams do is, what they tend to do is they strategize to play for the next game, and they get all of these plays from the playbook. So what they do, they go through a process, and that process is, on Monday, for example, they will look at that playbook and they will make a smaller playbook out of it. And what they will then do is go use that smaller playbook in practices, in classroom sessions, to get the team ready to beat the team on Saturday. Okay, so you have the playbook. Then what they do, they make a smaller playbook, which is about 20 pages long. They'll do classroom sessions. They'll rep this on the field as well, in practice, and then get ready for game day and play game day. Now, a playbook in business is pretty much the same thing. So for example, if I'm a CTO and I have a vision or a massive project that I want to roll out, say it's a 3 to 5 year project, I would say, for example, okay, I would want to lift all our data from premise to the cloud. How do we do that? So first of all, I'll strategize with my subordinates of how we're going to do that as a leader. Now, as a visionary, I know how this is going to get done. Okay, so there's a strategy part of it. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm sorry. In business, in IT, you generally find that corporates adhere to a framework. And that framework is called ITIL. Okay. And ITIL stands for Information Technology, Infrastructure, Library. And there's 5 pillars to this framework. One's strategy, one's design, one's transition, one's operations, and one is continuous service improvements. Okay, so the strategy part of it, I mentioned already with regards to the playbook. The design part of it, I've mentioned already with regards to slimming down the playbook to a smaller playbook. Okay, the transition piece is all about the practicing in the classroom, the practicing on the field. Okay, the operational piece is game day. Game day, when you're out there and you're trying to win the game. The continuous service improvements is the part where you monitor that project, or you monitor that game, or you look at the metrics of the game and say, well, right, how can we improve this? This is the continuous service improvements, and it goes all the way back to the beginning. They'll strategize. They'll put a design in, which is like a slightly smaller playbook. They'll go to the practice mode, where they'll be watching film and going on the field and practicing it on the field, which is transition. And then they'll go to operations, which is game day, and so on and so on. So I definitely have to say playbook. Continuous training as well. That definitely will boost success. Keeping your teams and subordinates continuously training. In American football, it goes without saying, you have to continually rep, you've got to continually catch, you've got to continually run, you've got to continually learn. It's the same thing in business. When your subordinates have potential like skill gaps, what do? You've got to train and support. So I would say those 2 areas. I'm hoping that what they take away from me is that I was a professional football player, and I transitioned into IT. We all have transferable skills. We might not realize that we've got transferable skills, but we all have transferable skills, especially from being like an athlete to going into the corporate world, because of the attributes that you potentially can bring. So, for example, hiring managers, what they look for people that are punctual. They look for people that are disciplined. They look for people that are resilient. They look for leaders. and all, and the list goes on. And these headings that I'm giving you, you tend to find the majority of athletes have these already baked into them because they've been doing it for years.